The Obsidian Gates of Teotihuacan. Welcome back to the adventures of Arin Cade. Today, we journey to the heart of an ancient mystery. North of modern-day Mexico City, the monumental pyramids of Teotihuacan rise from the earth, a place the Aztecs called the City of the Gods. Its true builders are lost to history, but whispers in ancient texts claim it was more than just a city. It was a gateway between worlds. Our adventurer, Arin Cade, arrived as dusk painted the sky in shades of crimson and gold. The colossal pyramid of the sun seemed to bleed light, a final fiery breath before the coming night. Tucked away in his pack, the feather-shaped crystal he'd recovered from Mount Roraima began to vibrate with a low, resonant hum. Standing before the silent giants of stone, Arin felt an undeniable energy pulsing from the ground. He looked down the long, empty avenue before him and murmured to himself, "This place wasn't built to honor the gods. It was built for them." As true darkness fell, Arin began his trek down the main thoroughfare, the Avenue of the Dead. The air grew still, heavy with the weight of unspoken history. He walked in near-total blackness until, one by one, the obsidian tiles paving the ancient road began to stir with an inner light. They weren't just stones. They were mirrors to the cosmos. Starlight, captured from the heavens above, swirled across their polished surfaces, forming glowing constellations beneath his feet. The path ahead transformed into a river of stars, guiding him forward. He followed the celestial map as it flowed toward the base of the Pyramid of the Sun. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A deep, grinding sound echoed through the night as the stones before him shifted and groaned. With a surge of ancient power, a massive obsidian door rose from the earth. Its surface was a perfect, depthless black, carved with intricate symbols of stars, comets, and unknown celestial bodies. It pulsed with a faint internal light, like a sleeping heart. The legends were true. The gate had awakened. Taking a steadying breath, Arin pushed against the immense door, which swung inward with surprising ease. He stepped inside, not into a tomb, but into a chamber of impossible design. Floating in the vast, open space within the Pyramid of the Sun were hundreds of golden orbs, each one shimmering with the intensity of a miniature star. They drifted lazily through the air, casting a warm, oppressive heat that grew with every passing second. These orbs represented the countless solar cycles the pyramid had witnessed. As Arin watched, their movements quickened, their dance becoming more frantic, and the temperature in the room climbed to an almost unbearable degree. Then, searing light burned across the far wall, etching fiery letters into the stone. The inscription read, "Balance the fire or be consumed." Arin's eyes darted around the chamber, searching for a clue. High above, narrow vents in the ceiling allowed shafts of moonlight to pierce the darkness, but they seemed random, unfocused. He then noticed a series of large, adjustable stone mirrors positioned around the room. This wasn't a test of strength, but of intellect. Racing against the rising heat, he began to move the heavy mirrors, angling them just so. He redirected the pale moonlight, focusing the beams one by one. As the final beam of light struck a central crystal, the golden orbs slowed their chaotic dance, their heat subsiding. Their light coalesced, and with a soft chime, a hidden passage ground opened in the floor. Arin descended into the cool darkness, following the new path until it led him into another vast chamber, this one beneath the Pyramid of the Moon. Here, the air was cool and damp. A network of stone channels crisscrossed the floor, filled with water that glowed with a silvery luminescence. The chamber was bathed in the soft light of the moon, streaming from an oculus in the ceiling. But as the moonlight touched the water, it began to rise, slowly at first, then with alarming speed. The channels overflowed, and the water level crept up the walls. There was no inscription here, only a series of circular stone discs carved with the different phases of the moon. Understanding dawned. He had balanced the sun. Now he had to command the moon. He waded through the rising water, turning the heavy stone discs. He had to align them in the correct sequence, from new moon to full, and back again. As he clicked the final disc into place, matching the lunar cycle, the magical influence of the moonlight ceased. The glowing water stopped rising and began to recede, draining away into the channels until it revealed a spiral staircase, leading even deeper into the earth. The stairs took him down into what felt like the very heart of the ancient city, a subterranean world carved from rock and shadow. As he stepped into the final massive cavern, figures began to form from the darkness. Towering Obsidian warriors, their bodies cut from the same volcanic glass as the great gate, emerged from the walls. They were silent, their reflective surfaces distorting Arin's image into 1,000 fractured pieces. They held no weapons, yet their presence was immensely powerful, an army of perfect, unmoving sentinels. Arin tensed, ready for a fight. He took a single step forward, and in perfect unison, the guardians mirrored his movement, their obsidian limbs sliding silently. He took another step, and again, they advanced. They moved only when he did. This was another trial, a test of a different kind. Thinking quickly, Arin forced himself to stand completely still. He slowed his breathing, calmed his racing heart, and waited. As he became a statue of flesh and bone, the guardians froze. Their movements ceased. He realized the key was not resistance, not a fight for passage, but a show of respect. He was a guest in their sacred space. He lowered his head in a gesture of deference. With a sound like shifting glass, the Obsidian warriors parted, creating a silent, respectful path to a chamber beyond. At the very core of Teotihuacan, Arin finally saw it, floating effortlessly above a circular pit of what looked like liquid light, was the true Obsidian gate. It was a perfect disk of polished black stone, impossibly suspended in mid-air. Its surface was alive, humming with a power that made the air crackle. Symbols and glyphs from every ancient civilization Arin had ever studied pulsed across its surface: Sumerian cuneiform, Egyptian hieroglyphs, Mayan script, and others he had never seen before. This was the source of all the myths, the nexus of all the legends. The gate was a lens, a window. It began to project visions into the air, around it flickering images of ancient peoples, robed in unfamiliar attire, stepping through similar portals across a backdrop of swirling stars and alien dimensions. They weren't gods. They were travelers, scientists, explorers, artists. This was a crossroads, Arin whispered in awe, a meeting place of knowledge shared across worlds. As if in response to his understanding, the gate shimmered. A section of its dark surface rippled, and it opened just for a moment, not a portal, but a repository. It released a single object that floated gently toward him, a dark glass crystal, shaped like a prism, cool to the touch and humming with the same cosmic energy as the gate itself. The moment the crystal touched Arin's hand, the entire city shook with a violent tremor. The delicate balance had been broken. The light in the pit below the gate flared, and the ancient machinery that powered this place began to fail. Stone cracked, pillars groaned, and the visions flickering from the gate vanished. The entire underground city was collapsing. With the crystal clutched tightly, Arin turned and ran. He sprinted back the way he came, racing through collapsing tunnels as the Obsidian warriors dissolved back into the walls. He slid under falling blocks of stone, his heart pounding, and leaped across widening chasms that opened in the floor. With a final desperate burst of speed, he scrambled up the spiral staircase and through the chambers of the moon and sun, just as the passages sealed behind him. He burst out into the cool night air, gasping for breath, as the great obsidian door on the surface slammed shut, sinking back into the earth as if it had never been. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Teotihuacan stood silent once more. The pyramids were just stone and memory, their secrets buried again beneath the weight of time. The avenue of the dead was just a road. Arin stood, catching his breath and looked down at the obsidian crystal glowing softly in his palm. It felt ancient, filled with a universe of information. He looked back at the pyramid of the sun, now catching the morning light. The gods didn't live here, he said to the empty city. They passed through, with another relic secured and the mystery of these ancient sites deepening with every discovery. Arin Cade turned his face toward the horizon. The journey was far from over. A new chapter was waiting to be written. Thank you for joining us on this adventure. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for the next part of Arin Cade's journey.